Okay guys, I'm going to show you how to transfer your drawing from your drawing, your actual drawing. This is the drawing that I did. I have already been working on some of this in class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish tracing this out so I can show you how to transfer. So I'm going to finish out a few lines here by placing it back on top of the tracing paper in the exact position that I had it before. And I can go in here, and I really don't have to trace this hair, but I want to show you how you transfer these images, okay, so that you can have a great picture on your drawing for this project. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just trace this in. And my board is much bigger than my drawing here, but I want to try to get in as much of it as I can possibly get in, and so I can show you guys how this is traced over. Okay, so I just traced in my drawing completely. Now what I'm going to do, and this has already been transferred somewhat, so you notice that the drawing that I did is backwards from the one that I'm transferring to my plastic sheet. This is the plastic sheet. This is my original drawing with the guidelines. I don't want those guidelines in my drawing here because it leaves marks on it, especially if you erase and try to color it back in, especially with marker. Alright, so what I have to do is I have to turn my original drawing over and place it back over here, like match it up. And anywhere that I have not drawn already on this back side here, you'll see that it's kind of light. So I'm going to go back over, pressing really hard with my pencil so that I can pick up these little lines on my plastic sheet. So I'll show you how that, try not to let it move like I just did. So you might want to hold it in the center there. Press kind of hard when you're putting your lines on, because if you don't, you're not going to get good representation of your line. I like to kind of color it in. So here we go. This shouldn't take but a little bit. If you color your lines, it's more likely that you'll hit the lines. When you're transferring, if you just make one little line and do that, you may not hit your line. You may be off of your line. So you have to make sure you're on that line before you transfer. And I can look in here and see that it needs to go up. His head needs to go up somewhat. When you take a walk back from your drawings, you can see where your drawings need a little bit more improvement. So we'll do a little bit more to that later. But what I want to show you to do today is to color once you've gotten it onto the plastic. And we want these to look pretty realistic. And to do that, all you need is an orange Crayola marker. Okay? Just a regular little orange Crayola marker. It works great. Alright, you can also use brown. Brown helps us out somewhat. And if you have a permanent marker, this is really, really helpful in getting really good details in and good dark black areas. Okay, so if you have those three colors right there, you can make your skin tones darker or lighter or whatever. You can even combine the two to give it highlights. I'm going to show you how you can go in and color this. When you color, all you have to do is make sure that you're outlining your area that you want to fill in and then smudging it in with your finger. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and outline this one as well and smudge it in. Now as you do this, you're going to notice that this little area needs to be darker down in here, so I'm going to color it in sort of, and then I'm going to smudge it out just a little bit. There we go. Now the beauty of this is that when you're coloring, it picks up some of that color that's already in your finger that you've been smudging, so it may have some of that graphite on your fingers. And then it gets really touchy when you start doing the large areas, because you have to renew your color. So just go ahead and outline, and then you can just kind of put it on, sort of like what you would put makeup on. Girls may be a little bit more familiar with how to do this, okay? But you guys can pick up on this really easy, okay? And you don't want to do a large section at a time, you just want to do a small section at a time, and that way you can go in and fix it. So I'm going to use a little bit of brown to kind of make this under here a little bit darker, because I want it to be darker right under the eyebrows. And then I want this orange to blend. So I'm going to blend it in. And that's great on this plastic, it just works great. Just remember when you're smudging to just do small areas at a time, and you want that upper lid to be darker, okay? As you get to the bottom, you can use a different finger if you want to, so that it doesn't bring that darkness all the way out. And just do small areas at a time. I'm switching fingers here to smudge so that it gets a smooth transition here. Alright, now underneath the edges of the hair, you want to do the same thing. Just blend it down. Just go up in here and outline it. And if you mess up a little bit and get some of this orange in your hair, it's okay, because I'm going to show you how that gets corrected as well. So we're just going to go in here and make sure we get the areas of skin colored in properly. And it's always going to be darker. And I'm not going to darken right up in that little area, because I want that to be kind of skin tone as well. Now, as we start getting into these larger areas, you're not going to put as much color, and you're just going to put it in small sections. And it doesn't hurt to wash your hands occasionally, so that you can have a really clean area. And I may have to go wash my hands here in just a minute. I want to get the darks in first, because that dark on my fingers really helps it to appear shadowed underneath the edge of the hair, underneath the eyes, and so forth. So we want it to look darker up underneath the edge of the hair. So that's what we're going for right here. Alright, and I'm not worried about the hair right now. Again, I'm going to go back in there, and a lot of that's going to change. So now I'm going to go under this eyebrow here, first with the orange. And smudge it in. Now I'm going to repeat myself again. If you do a lot of this at one time, you're going to have problems with a lot of streaks in your drawing. You have to make sure you're smudging this in pretty close to the way that your skin grows on your face. Okay, so we're going to go back in here and get this line. And you can rub it pretty hard. It's going to get real dark. Okay, I'm going to add a little brown into those areas. This will show up, and it's going to look really nice when I'm done. At least that's the hopes here. You just have to be careful in the way that you're smudging. Okay. This is really great when you're doing skies and so forth, because your skies are really cloudy looking when you do this. I'll try to demonstrate some of that as well. Okay, that's looking a little better. Alright. Let's get a little bit more orange in this area. And the beautiful thing about this is when if you mess up a little bit, you can kind of wipe it out with a rag. So if you get some in places that you don't really want it on there, it works out good to get that colored in over again if you use a rag to kind of wipe it out. And if you need to smooth something up, you just put a little bit more of the orange in there. Okay, And we'll go down this nose here because we want that to kind of be set apart. And that graphite's really dark in here, so have to be careful about that graphite. Okay, I'm going to color the end of the nose pretty dark underneath here because it's a shadow here. So we're going to get that nice and smooth. Just kind of come out underneath. Notice I'm adding all the dark areas first. Now, any area that you have on your face that's kind of a roundish shape, like the bottom of your chin, the sides of your cheeks, and so forth, those areas are going to appear darker underneath, and you would color them in a round circular motion. So let's go underneath, get the neck here. It's going to be a darker area as well. The neck is shadowed by the head, so you need to make sure you're getting that in, and do smudge it, because it also works if you put some Expo on it, or Windex. I think Windex might work. But anyway, I'm going to go clean my hands so I can come back in and put the lighter colors in. Take a rag and we're going to smudge it in. So we've got his color in there. We're going to take this rag, it's got just a little bit of dampness on it, and we're going to make sure it's nice and smooth when we're done. More of it off, because you don't want it to be really too dark. You want it to be lighter. So the rag is actually smoothing everything out for us, making sure we keep those darks in the dark areas. We don't want it to appear too dark anywhere. So we're making sure it's nice and smooth in. we still have some of those darks. So we're not wiping all of this off. We're just getting some of it off because we did get a nice good layer of it in there. And anywhere that you want it to be really light, you can press harder. I'm not going to press too much underneath the eyebrows because I really want that to be dark. Okay. You could actually wipe all of this off if you wanted to. So I'm not really pressing hard. And you can see how we're building up this portrait to make it look smooth and like transform into the facial features so that the nose doesn't look like it's just smushed onto the face. But I don't want that to appear that way at all. So anywhere that you want that portrait to be lighter, you can take this rag and kind of lighten it up a bit. And that's what I'm doing. I want it to be a little bit darker right in there because I want that shadow to be very vivid. Okay. Now, I think I'm pretty much done with the shadows and the way I want that face to look. And I'm going to take my finger in here and kind of smudge it in a little bit and make it smoother. Might get some places on there. But you want it to be smooth. Smooth. As smooth as you can make it. Okay, and this is all done with your markers. Now if you accidentally get a little place that you don't want, that you didn't want to lighten, like that right there, I want that to kind of remain dark. So you can just add it back in there. Just do it so easy. Okay. And this makes it look so much easier and better. Okay. Just be careful when you're doing this that you don't get carried away and put a lot of dark on there that you don't really want. Burgundy color to kind of highlight his lips. Remember, your lips are darkest underneath, and then underneath the top part they're dark. But you have an area that is kind of a whitish color right on the tip of your lips because that is where your highlight goes. And when I smudge that, it'll be more clear to you. Now, what I'll do with that permanent marker is I'm going to go in with the permanent marker, and you'll see where those lips come together. You might want to do this first, because this permanent marker does not smudge. It's kind of on there permanently. You have a little bit of darkness between your lips because that is where your lips come together and your shadows are the darkest. Okay? You wouldn't outline the whole lip. Okay? Another thing you want really dark is the eye pupil. You want that pupil to be really dark, and leave a little bit of white in there because that makes it look a highlight. It makes the eye look shiny. It's called a highlight. You can see already that just kind of made it pop. Alright, now I'm going to add some color in that eye. First of all, before I do that though, the eye has like angled lines that go inside here. So if you did that right there on your eye, you know directions in which way you need to color. So when I'm coloring with these, I'm not really coloring, I'm kind of just drawing lines in there, because we have little tiny lines in our eyes, in our iris part of our eye. Okay, now when I add color to that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a light blue first, just to make blue eyes. You can make green eyes, brown eyes, whatever. I like the blue because it's really visible as to how this is coming in here, to show the shadows of the eye. I could color it in there with just the blue like that, but it's not going to be as realistic if I just do that. Okay, that looks pretty good, but watch what happens when I add that darker blue. I've got a really dark blue here, and I'm going to put that just in the top part of this iris. That kind of just makes your eyes look more 3D. And then you want to take that blue and just kind of go around the outside area of the iris. That just kind of gives it more of an in-depth look. Alright. Now, to make your lips and hair pop, you want to use colored pencils. Okay, and I'll show you how that's done. Just give me a second. I'll get my colored pencils and we'll go for it. Bring it on the outside of his ear here, I think. Okay, now I've got brown hair. Let's see what we have that we can highlight it with the black. So it's green. So now I can take this darker color and I can kind of just exaggerate the curves a little bit more, and it kind of sets the hair apart. And I don't have to color everything in this. I'm not outlining by any means, but I am giving my hair some direction with it. You want to do his eyebrows the same way that you do the hair. So we're going to get our brown color back again. I can find out what I did with it. There we go. Let's get that brown going in here. Almost took that one out. But we got it. So don't forget about your eyebrows, guys. Bottom of his neck. You can see how this is bringing it out quite a bit. Anywhere he's got shadows, you can kind of just take your pencil and go in there and kind of define it a little bit more if you want. The first time you do this, you may not feel successful, but after that, you will, I promise. Now, instead of leaving that just a straight line, just go ahead and darken a little bit here. Color in a little tiny bit around the bottom of the nose. want to smooth up any of your edges, like I kind of got outside of my edge here, I can take my eraser and go back in and kind of just go around the edges. That kind of helps smooth it in just a little bit more. Now, some of you guys may have gotten a lot of smudging going on. If you got a little smudging going on in your portrait, like you got fingerprints all out in here, when you were drawing, you forgot to lay your paper down so you could have that covered up. And don't forget your little eye part right here where it's kind of dividing your eye off right there. That's going to be a little bit pink. So I'm going to use a little bit of a pink colored pencil and color that little tear duct in there pink. That'll help it a little bit. Alright. And then I can take my brown and kind of outline the lips if I got a little off a little bit there, because it's hard to control that color. And then you can draw these lip lines. And guys, don't be afraid to do this. Make sure you're taking a leap and jumping in and doing it, because a lot of people think, oh, I messed it up and you can't fix it. Well, you can certainly fix this. If I decided that I did not like what I have here, I could actually take my rag, get it wet, and just wipe everything off. Even the colored pencil will come off. So don't feel like you're going to mess up and you're not going to be able to fix it back, because you can fix it back. And I'm going to do a light green for the collar of the shirt, just to make it look different here. Nice and finished. Okay. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And I hope you learned a lot about coloring in marker on this plastic. It really works great. Okay, thank you.